Well, Lee, thank you very much for coming on our second ever Pitches and Politics podcast. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Jono.
We'll start with some footy talk because that's basically why I'm here. I don't know where to start. We should really start with Mansfield County from the weekend, shouldn't we?
I was at the game with fellow Stags fan Ben Bradley and County fan Brendan Clark-Smith, the MP for Bassetlaw. He likes to talk about his big majority in Bassetlaw, but he doesn't like to talk about the score from Saturday, which was
big.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game. I call it, now County are back in the league, it's our annual three-pointer. We always seem to go there and win. It's a brilliant place to go, brilliant atmosphere, cracking day out.
Yeah, were you expecting quite such a big score, even if you were expecting 3 points?
Well, I expected us to win, and when we went to goal down, I still weren't that worried, to be honest, because County looked very, very poor at the back. It was pretty good going forward, but you could see holes all over the defence, and Mansfield playing a good football. They're knocking it about. They're playing like Clough's gone playing like his dad used to have Forest playing. And you could just see, you think, well, if they keep this up, they're going to get chances. And they did get chances, and they put them away. It could have been 5 or 6.
And how, just in generically speaking now, in terms of the Midlands and especially in the Nottingham-Mansfield area, how great is it to have like this many clubs doing so well with Forest, Mansfield and County at the moment? Well,
it's brilliant. You see, I'm a season ticket holder at Forest. Forest games are going to be sold out for the rest of the season. They were the last season and the season before. Which means that a lot of fans, an unintended consequence of that now is more fans are going to County and Mansfield because they want to get the fix of football, which is good for the whole area. It's brilliant, and if Mansfield do get promoted, we'll have more people coming into the town of a weekend. It's more money for the shops and restaurants and pubs and the hospitality industry. Same with Forest now. It's packed every Saturday or Sunday, whenever the games is, and there's a real buzz and. It lifts me when Forest win or Mansfield win. It makes me feel great for a few days.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the idea, the gist we've been getting from everyone we spoke to really is that even though this sort of football talk is meant to be a separate sort of side conversation, it doesn't really connect with politics. It does in a way because, as you just mentioned about sort of the economy it brings in and the revenue it brings into the local communities. When these East Midlands teams are doing well, when the money's there and there's events happening, we spoke with Ben about the Take That concert that's happening in the City Ground. Potential Lee Wood fight as well in the future, like all of that stuff. Like, do you feel like that makes a massive difference to sort of like the city of Nottingham and the Midlands?
Well, it does because the higher the profile of the clubs, or whether it be Mansfield or Nottingham, more people are coming in that's probably never been there before, and they're seeing things and thinking, what, this is not a bad place to come to. I might bring my family or my friends here, or have a stag weekend here, or a hen weekend, or just a weekend break. And Nottingham's a great city. There's lots to see. There's lots to do. It's a safe city, and I go down there, like I say, on match day. Sometimes go out, for a drink with my friends or family or the missus, and I want to show Notts off to the world. And Cloughie did that many years ago. It was the football capital of Europe at one time, and you know what? It could happen again.
We're moving in the right direction, aren't we?
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
I think you've got a better chance of winning a cup quicker than Tottenham maybe or Man United. You're definitely on the up, aren't you? Definitely.
Yeah, we're on the up. I mean, we have to be careful because last year was a bit of a struggle, and you have to remember that Steve Cooper, he's only been a football manager for about 4 years, and what he's achieved in that 4 years is incredible. I think he's been to the playoffs once with, I think it was Swansea, then the season after playoffs with Forest, promoted, kept them in the Premiership, spent a lot of money. It might seem the easy thing to do to spend loads of money and bring all these players in, but it's not so easy to get them to gel together. They're all from different countries, speak different languages. Premiership's the hardest league in the world. Some just come, with a big reputation, just fail and have to go straight back. I think Frula was a good case of that. He couldn't cope with the Premiership.
Yeah.
Great footballer, but the pace, the quickness, and he could only pass back or sideways. He couldn't pass a ball forward. He's got to go back to Italy. But I'm loving Dominguez. He looks a great player. Murillo looks brilliant, and Montiel struggled the first game. Right back, he got stripped a few times, but he looks the real deal now. So, and there's some great players on the bench. Which some real superstars on the bench. It's going to be struggling to get the plays.
Yeah.
And the same question I asked Ben, what's your half-time tipple? What do you like to talk about half-time?
I don't have anything.
No.
Because where I sit, I tend to get, because of my job, I tend to get a lot of people want to talk to me. So especially the people around me, they all know who I am. They watch my GB News show, and they're probably in agreement with pretty much everything I say. The controversial stuff, which by the way, I don't think is controversial. I don't think I'm a controversial person. I think I'm just saying what most people are thinking. I think it's this bubble that's controversial. It's controversial to me, and it offends me sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting going on to the political side, because we've obviously done some research on you, because it's what we do coming into it. And a lot of the things that he says, the controversial things you said, I don't actually think it's controversial. Like the 30p breakfast situation. Well, it was exactly true what you said. You could make a breakfast for.
Well, it weren't breakfast, John. It was.
Was
It was a chef told me he could cook and feed a family of 5 for 50 quid a week, and I had a bet with him that he couldn't. So he gave me. Well, I took 50 quid out of the bank. Went to the I think it was the Aldi with a load of school children. Bought all these ingredients, what the chef wrote down. We did a Ready Steady Cook event the following day with the school children. I had 3 other MPs there, the film crew, had the food bank users, staff from the local college. We did it in the kitchens at the college, and we made 5 different meals with the ingredients he gave us. And we made 172 of these meals and put them into pots. And that worked out at 30p each. And it was batch cooking. It was cooking from scratch with the right ingredients, with a qualified chef showing you what to. It was brilliant. I was cooking a meal that I never thought I could make. And when we then delivered these meals to people in the community, and then when I said in the Commons that we could make meals for 30p each, well, it just went viral. It's like nasty Tory, out of touch Tory says you can feed a family of 5 for 30p a month, and ridiculous stuff. And I didn't. I mean, what I was trying to do is help people, learn how to cook. And the food bank I was helping at the time, one of the conditions of getting a food parcel was that you had to enrol on a cooking course and a budgeting course, because people were taking a food parcel away and throwing all the fresh stuff away, the vegetables and such like. They weren't cooking; they were just using the tinned and box stuff and the ready meals, which is no good for you. So we were trying to do something useful and help people, but obviously I just got slagged off. And the name tag still sticks, but the silent majority, my inbox was full of support.
Silly, I don't think it's a silent majority. As you know, I'm a councillor in Balderton, and the amount of people that speak to me go, "Oh, we're lovely, it's great." He says it how it is, and I think the left wing and Labour in particular just petrified you. You have come in, you've taken a Labour heartland seat. They expected to be able to take it back off you the next election. I think they're going to have a fight on their hand. What would you say to Labour that think that they're going to take your seat off?
Well, it's not a target seat because they've not selected a candidate yet. And the candidate that stood against me last time, Natalie, who lives in Ashfield, has decided she doesn't want to stand there against me, so she's gone to Bolsover. She's standing in Bolsover, so bring your candidate, bring it on. I know they're out there, the team are out there campaigning, but I live in Ashfield. I'm born and bred. I've never lived anywhere else. I was born at the hospital. I went to school there. So, they've got to pick a local candidate who knows the area and is known to people. And when I go back on a Thursday or a Friday, most people will come out and say hello and say, you've done it again, you've said something that we all believe in. Keep it up, get people come to me in pubs and shake my hand. And so I feel, even at Forest, I get lots of people coming up saying, and that should, at a football game, it's, I've had a few idiots, say some things, but, I'll go back at them.
Yeah.
Abruptly and challenge
I
them.
won't expect anything of them.
They normally scurry off.
Yeah.
Stand your ground, double down, and when you say something that is so-called controversial, stick by your words. Because once you show the left and the media a bit of weakness, they'll jump on you.
And what are they? So you've mentioned this a few times. What are some of the controversial things you've been accused of that you don't think?
Well, the food poverty thing, I don't think that was controversial. I just harp on back to my childhood when my mum and dad could cook, and my dad grew vegetables in the garden. We had chickens, what we used to eat, and stuff like that. People used to take personal responsibility. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I made a comment about the death penalty, and basically what I said, people were saying that you can't always be sure, but you can be sure in the case of, murders like the Ree Rigby killing. They was there, they was filmed doing it. There was 100 witnesses, there was blood on their hands, it was on CCTV, they admitted to doing it. And as far as I'm concerned, it would be very difficult to argue against the death penalty in circumstances like that. That's what I said, and then next minute, Deputy Chairman wants to bring back the death penalty. I never said that. I said it would be difficult, and if there was a vote on it, I'd vote for it. I would. But they keep coming up with these cases where miscarriages of justice. I said, look, I didn't say that. I said where it's provable, like the Lee Rigby, where there's no doubt at all, then yes.
And going back to something else that you're accused of being controversial over, the immigration. Tonight, actually, at the council I'm going to, Labour are putting a motion forward that they want to stop the immigration centre at the RAF camp. What is, obviously, I've seen your things on the news, but what's your opinion on that?
What, Labour's doing this?
Yeah, so Labour are putting a motion at Newark District Council tonight where they want to support the council in not rolling out the immigration centre in Lincoln.
Well, that's a turn up for the books, isn't it? I mean, Labour want open borders. The Labour group at Ashfield, when I was there, they were driving down to the Dunkirk camp, on a monthly basis, taking supplies and, encouraging the illegal migrants, not refugees, because they're not, the migrants to be there. This is a real turn up for the books. This is so. I think they're playing politics, to be honest with you. And we've seen Sir Keir Starmer. He will literally say and do anything. He'll jump on any bandwagon to get elected. It looks like some of the local Labour groups are following suit. Look, it might be smart politics, but does anybody actually believe them?
What do you think the Conservative Party need to do to get... Obviously it can be a real tough election for us. Obviously I am a Conservative councillor, hopefully be a Conservative parliamentary candidate going into the next election. However, what do you think the Conservative Party need to do to get elected at the next election?
Well, you could talk about immigration all day long, stopping the small boats, which we need to do, but elections, they won and lost basically on the economy. I think if people feel that they're a little bit better off in their pocket and everything's okay and they can afford everything, then they'll normally vote for the government that's in it. It's immigrations. It fills my inbox on a weekly basis. But if you've got to be honest with yourself, it's pound notes in your pocket, which is what people vote for. They do.
And what are going to be your key manifesto pledges going into the next election?
My manifesto pledges, well, whatever the parties are. So I mean that's simple enough. I have to toe the party line, and there's certain things I believe in, and sometimes I might disagree with my party. But I think immigration is going to have to be at the centre of it. Obviously, the economy, law and order. People are fed up now with with things like shoplifting, petty crimes. They're fed up with that sort of stuff. But people want to feel safe when they go out on the streets. They're sick to death of these yobbos and these drug dealers and whoever seem to be getting away with blue murder sometimes. So, I mean, I've had a big row with my local police. One of my police officers this morning about an incident in Ashfield where 4 weeks later they've still not arrested the suspect, who actually admitted the offence on Facebook 4 weeks ago with his photo and his name. Yeah. And they said, well, we've not seen it. I'm saying, well, if Arthur Sutton's seen it on Facebook, what are you playing at? Yeah. So they've had it this morning.
Well, everybody seems to have had it after this morning, Lee, to be fair.
No, you do. You just, I don't know, John. You expect people who do a job to do the job properly. Now, when somebody is on Facebook admitting that they've hit this bloke, and I was there, I stopped the fight, and I saw him, and the police 4 weeks later are saying, "Oh, we didn't know. We didn't see the screen grabs or anything like that." Oh, we're going to go and arrest. Oh, he's coming in next week for an interview. He's volunteered himself in. I said, well, why haven't you been out and arrested him? Well, he started a new job this week. You what? Go and get him and lock him up.
Yeah, do you know, and that kind of sort of just rolls into what I was going to ask you next, Lee, about sort of taking it over to more locally and Mansfield and Ashford. What are you quite passionate about? And obviously you've just touched on something there with the yobs and the antisocial behaviour, but what else are you passionate about?
Education for me, young people. I want the young people in Ashfield to have the same opportunities as young people in Surrey or Essex or the leafier parts of the country, which is why I'm delighted that I've secured funding to rebuild Ashfield School, which is my old school. I went there. And Kirkby College, which was one of the worst schools in the country. Every other MP before me has ignored that school. It was in double special measures, awful. I had a big fallout with the staff there. I did actually tell the Ed and some of the them on the board of governors that they weren't fit to be running a school and that they should put as much distance as they possibly can between themselves and a school, because they were failing children. Children were leaving there barely literate, and so they've gone. We've got an academy in, Outwood Grange Academy, or a great academy, who turn around special measures schools into outstanding. And I've got the funding to have that rebuilt as well. So, it's going to take a few years, but, it's a lot of young children in Kirkby where I live. They go into a school basically as daycare. The parents have got low expectations, not pushing them, and we're wasting people's lives. We need to make sure that these kids get the skills and the education they need to have a nice, decent life where they can earn good money and have nice things and bring up a decent family, rather than ending up in prison or selling 10 bags on Cornet Street.
And how have you, because obviously you started off as a local councillor, you've come into politics. I remember out on the first ever election, in the general election, we were out delivering leaflets.
Yeah.
And obviously I got called away to go and run in the seat I wasn't going to win, but that's how it is.
Taking one for the team.
That is it. How have you found the transition from local to national? Because obviously you are outspoken, you have got yourself in trouble over the years. You don't seem to be willing to change. But how have you found that transition?
Well, it was. I suppose it was a little bit difficult when I first got here, because I'd never been here before. I'd never been to the House of Commons, so I got elected on the Friday and I went into that place on the Monday. So it was all like, wow, this is all new. So you're here now, and there's no training. There's no training course.
Yeah.
And you're just given a laptop and a bag and a few bits of paper and some pens, and it's like, go and do it. So you have to sort of hit the ground running. Then you get your own office. You have to recruit staff. You have to rent an office. You have to pay bills. It's like setting up a small business, basically. So there's no training, but that's what we're here for. But you have to remind. I still, when I walk through Westminster Hall, like I've just done before I met you earlier, and I've just been in the chamber, I still get there like tingles when I go to it and think, wow, this is my workplace. It's a bit like when they play Muller Kintyre just when Forest are about to kick off. It's that sort of feeling. You feel a bit overwhelmed and proud that you're here, and incredibly proud. So. But no, I keep saying, Johnny, I'm not saying controversial things. I'm saying things that are controversial to this place and the mainstream media, but to the public. I go to a different association every Friday. This week I did 2 last week. So I'll go and speak on Coventry on Thursday night, probably 200 people. It's an after dinner. I'm doing the same in Hampshire on Friday night, probably 150, black tie. I'll go and speak and say all my spiel, all my controversial stuff, and they'll all stand up at the end and clap me.
But it was an interesting conference, because I found, I don't know if you find the same, that it seemed to be the fringe events that seemed to be doing a lot better, or it might have been because there were small rooms.
Well, I think, the fringe events, you're getting real characters speaking, more interesting characters. I think, in the main stage, it's got to be a little bit more about presentation and, be saying the right thing, and a bit corporate. I think that's the right word, business-like. Whereas the fringe events, you can unleash yourself a little bit.
Yeah, obviously you work for GB News, or you do a show for GB News, and also Mr. Farage do the same. Are you two friends?
Oh, friends, we're colleagues, aren't we? I'll have a drink with him, have a chat with him. We get on really well with him. If I'm in a crowded room, he'll come and pick me out, and vice versa, and come and have a chat, because we've got something in common.
Because obviously there were rumours during conference, I'm sure you heard but there was rumours that he might join the Conservative
Party. That rumour was started by Patrick Christie's, who works for GB News.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so yeah.
Because obviously he's announced that he's going to be running candidates in every seat. That could hurt the Conservative Party.
Well, he said that last time, didn't he? Then I will say, if Reform are serious about winning seats, they should win the by-election this week in Mid-Beds, because 8 years ago UKIP were winning seats in by-elections. Reform are going to get about 3 or 4% of the vote.
And obviously anybody that votes for anybody but Conservatives is going to get a Labour government.
Yeah, of course they are. I think people are more nimble now with the voting. They know they can vote tactically. They know that Reform is a wasted vote. They know, in the South, that if the Libs and Labour get together, they can get rid of us. They can do that tactical voting. And this is why people won't go to Reform.
I want to ask you, Lee, when it comes to, because obviously just from hearing about sort of your work and day to day, it's obviously so hectic with this and the show that you do as well. When it comes to, being at the City Ground on a Saturday or wanting to just switch off, how easy is it for you to just completely switch off from work and everything you've got going on? Are you able to? Or are you always...
I don't think you can switch off. I've just been away to Spain for a week with the missus, and again you took your phone away, you turn it off and turn your emails off, and forget about work. And then as soon as you get off a plane, somebody recognises you, wants to talk to you. You go to the local market, the hippie market, and people, oh, it's Lee. And yeah, I think it's something I weren't prepared for, because you don't. I probably should have been warned, but the more, I don't know, controversial as you say, keep saying, John, I get, the more you get recognised, and sometimes, mostly it's good, but then you get a few idiots wanting to have a pop at you. But I've always got an answer for that.
Yeah. And does it bother the wife? Do you think or does she know what she signed up for and she's kind of?
Yeah, I think she gets it, and she's got that eye now, because you can be sat in a restaurant or on I don't know, wherever, at the airport, the departure lounge, and you'll see somebody look, and then you'll see somebody get their phone out, and then you know what they're doing, you're Googling it,
yeah.
and they're going like that. It's dead obvious, and so it's part of the job. Part of the job.
And then obviously you've spoken about being a Forest season ticket holder and going to start footy, but do you have other things you do, other vices that you find sort of help, just sort of when you're not at work? What do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, I mean, I like to say I like to go out for a drink with my mates, but I don't do that as often as I could do, because I'm here for half the week. So, but football, yeah, Mansfield and Forest. I get lots of stick for going to both by some, well, just idiot. I mean, how can you support both teams? Well, I've been going to Forest since my first Forest game actually, I think it was 1971. My dad took me to see Man United versus Forest, and you got players like Bobby Charlton, George Best, Dennis Law playing for Man United, because Dad was a big Man United fan. I've been going to Stags since mid-70s. I've always gone to both.
Yeah.
And I've been to a couple of away games this year with Stags, and a few home games. Like I say, I've been to all Forest home games. I'm going to. I think we've got Luton this Saturday, and the week after I'm going to Anfield. Strange tickets for that for me and my kids. So it was at most Saturdays or at weekend I'm at a match, whether it be Stags or Forest, and you can support both teams. I think.
Honestly don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And like you said, at the moment, it's virtually impossible to get a ticket at the City Ground. Yeah. So what's the next best thing? You go over the road to Meadow Lane, where they're getting sort of 17,000 in through the door for a home game. It's like great, good standard of football. Yeah. Or it's Mansfield, where they've got a good following as well.
It's brilliant.
I think great for the city, great for the East Midlands in general.
I read something, I don't know if it's true. Did you ever work for Mansfield Football Club? I read something yesterday. Is it true?
No, it's not. I mean, just
don't believe what you see.
I don't believe anything I read in papers now, especially if it's about me.
What were you doing? Was it always politics?
No, I went down pit when I left school. Right. So I had about a year in a concrete factory labouring, and then I went to Sutton Colliery. I did my face training at Cresswell Colliery in Derbyshire, which is the Clown Cresswell area. And then I went to work went to the coal face at Welbeck Colliery, in the developments, in the headings, tunnelling. And then I went to become a deputy at the pit, and then when I packed that up, I became a single parent to two boys. Whilst I was single parenting, I did a little bit of volunteering at the local Citizens Advice Bureau, and that sort of put me on path to where I am today. You know, trying to help people with their problems and solving stuff. So, yeah. So I worked in some homeless hostels as well for care leavers, children that's left for care homes and foster care. I love that job, to be honest. I think that was probably my favourite job, working with young people. I went from disliking these young people because they're out bloody being nuisances and in trouble with law, thieving, to actually, when you get to know them and know the journey they've been on, from being in care, from being 2 or 3 year old, then you actually think, well, these kids have had no love, they've had no role models, they've had no mentors. You know, all they want, I mean, all they've ever had is adults shouting at them all their life, not giving them any love. So there's no wonder they've turned out like that, and it upsets me, that does. It bothers me.
Do you think that's played a part in why you're so passionate about sort of your morals and whatnot now as a politician, having worked those jobs where you've seen it first?
I mean, an MP said to me, "Are you the real deal? Because you've had all these different experiences, and you know, and we weren't rich when we were growing up. You know, Mum and Dad were, you know, I guess if they looked at my parents now, if you could go back in a time machine, they would say we were in poverty. I mean, we didn't think we were in poverty. We just thought Mum and Dad went to work. Yeah, they didn't have much money. because they had to pay for the food, pay rent and stuff like that. But we didn't feel poor, but we didn't have posh things. We didn't have many clothes. You know, we had vegetables in the garden. If we was lucky, we got a week in Skeg in a caravan. That was probably once every couple of years. So no, we didn't think we were poor, but by today's standards, we would be classed as in poverty. But no, we were happy.
And what would the 10-year-old Lee Anderson think of where you are now?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So 10-year-old Lee Anderson wants to be a footballer. I used to play for my school team and the district, and I was a good footballer.
What position did you play?
I played up front, obviously, a goal machine. I found it easy, football. I found it easier than other kids, so I excelled at it. Because I think football, a lot on it's in your head, and you know, if you can think quicker at that age, then normally you're going to be a pretty decent footballer. But then when I got to 13 and 14 and 15, I sort of, you know, as lads were developing, I didn't develop very quickly. You know, I didn't shoot up till I was about 16, 17. I found it more difficult, and I sort of fell out of love with the game. We went out with mates and we were smoking and drinking and, you know, and chatting lasses up and stuff like that, which is, you know, again, part of growing up.
Yeah.
And I just had I thought of having, but sports got to be fun as well. You've got to enjoy doing it, and I enjoyed going out with mates and getting up to mischief more than I did football, so I sort of fell out of love with football, and then fell back in love with football a little bit later by watching it, and then watching my kids play football. And I missed that. I missed because my kids are 33 and 29 now. And I miss getting up on a Saturday and Sunday morning, taking them to the local team as 6, 7, 8 year olds. You know, not very good to watch, but great fun. And every single parent thinks their kids are going to be the next David Beckham. And the chances of that happening are absolutely zero.
Because I know you love politics. I've known you for a couple of years now. I was, like I said at the beginning, I was out campaigning with you. You absolutely love it. Which bit of politics do you hate? Which part of being here do you hate?
It's the mischievousness of political parties, and I guess all parties are guilty of it. It's like you're saying that your council meeting tonight, the Labour Party's backing a motion or putting a motion in. It's when parties amend motions to be mischievous, and a perfect example is the environmental bill, which we passed here earlier this year, which is basically to clean up our rivers and our seas and look after wildlife. But some lord in the House of Lords put an amendment in to ban overflows, storm overflows, which basically the storm overflows are used when we have a terrific downpour, because the water goes into the underground into the sewers with water and sewage, and it goes to wherever it goes. And sometimes when we get too much rain, there's not enough capacity in there, so they have to open an overflow, and some of the sewage goes into the rivers. Now that happens when we have a terrific downpour, and I didn't know that happened until I got here. I thought, well, that's disgusting, but apparently it's always happened for 100 years. And this amendment was going to ban using overflows, which thinks that's a great idea, stop pumping sewage into seas and rivers. But if you stop that overnight, if we'd have voted for that, and we'd have closed all them storm overflows overnight, where would that sewage have gone? Is it gone in the streets and in your bathroom? Yeah. So, and the message we got the day after, the Labour Party and the Liberals were saying Tories vote to dump sewage, and we hadn't. If we'd have gone with them and voted for it, we'd have had shit in the streets.
Yeah, and we got accused of that as being local Conservative. We got accused of the Conservatives have voted to dump through the street. But you also know, because you've been around a long time, it's who gets all that message. And you're always twisting messages and changing messages. Yeah, but
politicians even more, need to be more honest, and they made some political gain on that. Yeah. A lot are getting abuse, and that's the side of politics. It's the spin, isn't it? I mean, because it's nasty. You can get threats, you can get abuse, and basically people just misleading the public.
Yeah. And going back to that, it's something we touched with Ben. How much abuse have you had? Have you ever had to take people to court?
Yeah, I've had one pay me compensation. I had 55 death threats in one day off one person, and I've got one going through court at the moment. I get abusive emails every single day.
And how do you cope with that as an individual, mental health wise? How do you cope with it?
Just put them in a folder in my Outlook, and have a little giggle at them every now and again. And as long as the police are aware.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these idiots, they don't even know the IP address. Police give it place if they go and knock on the door a day later and arrest them.
And are a lot of the people that you deal with just trolls? Because obviously I've stole something from your Facebook page, the troll thing, I loved it. I've stole that from my councillor page. Is it mostly trolls, or is it people that do want to do serious harm?
I think it's just idiots. I mean, yeah. I mean, you've got to be mindful that there are people out there that want to hurt you and harm you. But I guess, I mean, they wouldn't warn you with an email, would they? Or a phone call, they'd just come and do it.
Yeah. What's your greatest achievement to date, Lee, in career-wise, would you say?
Career-wise? I don't know. I mean, look at some of the funding I've got for my local area, 70 million in towns funding and Future High Streets funding. My two new schools to be rebuilt. That's probably, if I didn't get elected last time, I'd be proud of just getting the money for 2 new schools. That would do me, because I could drive past them schools or walk past them every day and think, you know what, I did that.
And what's been your biggest achievement in the party?
Well, I'm deputy chair, aren't I? So.
Yeah. Because I was reading something a few weeks ago that it was a criticism, but I took it as a compliment personally, is that Lee Anderson's views have now become mainstream Conservative views.
Well, great. That's what mainstream Conservative views have always been views like mine. Like I say, I go to different associations every week and speak to. I've done in the last year probably, 40 or 50 associations, spoke to thousands of people. And I would say 99% of them agree with me, and the other 1% agree with me when I've spoke.
Yeah.
So, and they're all sold out, the events are, and then they're selling tickets for 60 quid, some sold them for 120 quid a ticket, sold out. So, I must be saying something right, what the membership agree with, or they won't keep paying the money.
The one thing that I love is you always seem to be able to turn negative into a positive. and you'll know what I mean, is the picture that was taken of you, the pig picture.
Yes, I've got one on my desk over
You've
there.
started turning them into a way to fundraise for the party and to fundraise for local.
Well, it's fundraised for my male suicide charity, which is close to my heart.
Superb.
So there was another one cartoon done of me a few weeks back, F off back to France. It was me naked sat on the White Cliffs of Dover. With the White Cliffs of Dover, it was spelled F off back to France. But the good news is the cartoonist who did that for The Guardian, he got sacked.
Yeah, I saw that last night, yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't it something over...
Anti-Semitism.
Yeah. And what is your view on that? Obviously, we had the Ukraine situation, and I believe you wrote to the Russians saying I want to be banned as well when they were banning MPs.
No, I didn't do that.
Did you not do that?
No.
That's a
good idea,
false
though.
news.
Good idea. It's fake news.
Fake news, sorry, yeah. What about the Israel situation?
It's heartbreaking, mate, isn't it? So we went to Israel last year with the Conservative Friends of Israel. A group of Tory MPs went. We went 3 days in Jerusalem, and 3 days in Tel Aviv, and we went to Jerusalem for a couple of nights. And yeah, we also went to the West Bank, and we had a private meeting with the Palestinian Prime Minister, where we got to quiz him. We met with Palestinians and with Israelis. Got to ask a lot of questions. And the one thing that struck me is this is the same in any conflict. Your normal everyday people, I think, just want to live in peace. They do. It was like when we had the problems in Ireland. People. Yeah, there's going to be people that's pro whatever, but normal, decent, hard-working people they don't want people being killed around them and their houses blown up and hospitals blown up. They just want to get on with their life, and it's heartbreaking, mate, to see what's happening. And I don't know how it's going to pan out, and it's going to be a lot of deaths.
Yeah, it's real difficult. Obviously, I've been to 2 war zones, and I get it. It's usually always the innocent people that end up on the wrong side. Yeah, our prayers are obviously with everybody involved in that conflict, and hopefully it will turn out positive. And same with Ukraine as well. Obviously, they were attacked by the Russians unprovoked. Have you got any opinions on that?
Well, we've got we had a Ukrainian family living next door to me, actually. Oksana and her 2 children, and basically they came to keep the children safe. And when you see a country like that, and to be fair play to Boris and our country, we did open our arms and showered Ukraine with love and gave thousands of their families or children and women a safe haven. And I think that was a wonderful thing to do, which makes me very angry when I see the boats coming over from northern France with young men in. I mean, fleeing so-called war zones. Now, I'm sorry, but what sort of men flee a war zone and leave the women and kids behind? They're not men in my book. Not at all.
That's the one thing I've noticed is the Ukrainians are staying and fighting. Like everybody expects.
Well, look at Israel, Jono. We've seen pictures last week of men and women on planes going back to Israel to sign up, not running away, going back from wherever they were in the world to fight to save the country. That's real people.
And Ukrainians have given a good fight back. I was really impressed with them. It's like I said, as everybody expected them to fold in 6 days.
Well, they would have folded without the support of the West, because it's the weapons we're giving them into.
Yeah.
We're giving them unlimited weapons.
But you've got to have brave men and women that are willing to pick them up.
Yes, you have. But with the amount of weapons they're getting from us in the States and other countries, they can put up a good show. Because a lot of war now is fought on a computer, isn't it? And
the technology has been unbelievable. Like, who would believe that cardboard planes from Australia would take out a £30 million tank? It's unbelievable. Yeah. And it's showing that the UK and America are going to have to pay attention to future technology. It's probably not going to be expensive planes and tanks. It's going to be a UAV or a drone that is going to be the future where we need to go. But Lee, I would like to say a big thank you for doing this interview for us. I think we'll finish on that one unless you've got any more questions.
No, I mean, just to sort of, we kind of like to sort of bring it full circle, don't we? Finish on football again, bringing it back to Forest. Just finally, the rest of the season, how does it pan out? What's a realistic expectation for
I'd
Forest
like to see us win a few more away games. We've won one already this season, which was a great result. But mid-table, I think we can get mid-table. I can see what's going to happen. I think we're going to bring these young players in like Murillo and some other great players, for 10, 15 million quid, and then at the end of the season they're going to be gone for 70 or 80 million quid, which that's fair.
Yeah.
I can cope with that as long as we keep the nucleus of a good side. And he keeps raking the money and getting the money in the way. We're going to find these bargains wherever, because we've been pretty good at that so far. And flog them for 8 times the value a year after. That's good business. And hopefully we might finish in the top 6 next year, and then people will really start looking at us.
Yeah, I agree. It's just about building, isn't it, and being better than last year. Like I said, the away form still needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Really exciting young squad. A lot of investment and recruitment done over the summer. I think we're helped as well by there's a few really bad teams in the league this year, aren't there?
There's
a few that are sort of.
I think. My prediction is that the 3 that come up will go down.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Because I thought if any, Burnley might be all right, but they've been pretty poor from what I've seen this season. So actually,
apart from against us when they probably should have won.
Yeah, and they did beat us in a cup game as well, didn't they? So it'd be nice to get one up on them. But I think I agree. I think Sheffield United and Luton are doomed. And I think at the moment Burnley or perhaps Bournemouth might go down with it.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. But no, I agree. Building blocks and stick with Steve Cooper.
Yeah, got to stick with him.
And it should be good. Well, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.